welcome to this NMC virtual talk, How to Hire EC and CS with Disabilities, HRC-PSC Inventories. Want to hire persons with disabilities but don't know where to start? The Human Resources Council and the Public Service Commission of Canada launched 2 inventories for persons with disabilities, Policy and Data Analysts, or EC, and Digital IT Positions, CS. Today, we'll talk about these initiatives and how you can immediately access these partially qualified candidates. This is a practical session for hiring managers, supervisors, and HR advisors. My name is Hélène Larose, and I'm the regional lead for the National Capital Region for the NMC. Please note that our event today will be recorded, and a YouTube video link will be made available in the following days. For today's session, don't hesitate to send your questions through the chat. You can also add the thumbs up if the question, if you're interested in hearing the answer to that question. We ask that you please turn off your microphone and camera. And for the best experience possible and to prevent any lags or delays, we encourage you to disconnect from your VPN. And before we start, I want to acknowledge that I'm located in Gatineau, Quebec, and the land here is the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. I recognize that we all work in different places and therefore in a different traditional Indigenous territory. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on this. Thank you. For today's session, I'd like to introduce you to our guests, Valentina Fumagami, Director of Inclusive Recruitment at the Public Service Commission, who is responsible, among other things, for providing advice on diversity hiring programs and on services the PSC provides to the government. We also have Anne-Marie Kilouac, Assistant Director at the Office of the Chief Information Officer of Canada. She's responsible for multi-level recruitment campaigns for the digital community. She has worked in staffing since 2006 in various departments. And we have Muriel Swift, Senior HR Advisor for the Talent Product Development Center of Expertise at the Public Service Commission of Canada. Muriel was a second language assessor for 9 years, and since 2017, a Human Resources Advisor for the Quebec region, specifically for Aboriginal recruitment. In a moment, I'll turn it over to our guests. Then there's going to be a question period. Note that today's discussion will be in English. The French session was held yesterday and the recording will be available on the NMC YouTube channel in the coming days. Donc la session française a eu lieu hier et l'enregistrement sera disponible sur la chaîne YouTube de la CNG dans les prochains jours. So without further delays, I will pass it over to Valentina. Valentina, could you give us an overview of the government's outline with regards to the hiring of persons with disabilities?
Of course. I see that there are so many people joining us. This is exciting. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, everybody. I'm really happy to be here with you today to set the stage by outlining some of the Government of Canada's commitment to hire 5,000 net new employees with disability by 2025. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Accessible Canada Act, which came into force in July of 2019. This act is the most significant advancement for disability rights in Canada in over 30 years. It enforces the identification, removal, and prevention of accessibility barriers for organizations under federal jurisdiction. To show that the Government of Canada is taking a leadership role in meeting the requirements under the Accessible Canada Act, a government-wide accessibility strategy, better known with the name Nothing Without Us, was established over 2 years ago. The first goal of this strategy is to improve the recruitment, retention, and promotion, and I'm using my hands, promotion of persons with disability, including the commitment, as I said at the beginning, of hiring 5,000 net new persons with disability by 2025. The net new persons is super important. The nuance, net new. So we're talking about bringing new blood, new people in the public service. So we're not talking about other people that are already public servants and may develop a disability, or at a certain point in their career, they may decide to self-identify, which is a personal decision, as we all know, as persons with disabilities. So we're talking about really new hires. We know that is a challenge. It is for sure an ambitious target, which requires the attention of hiring managers like you, the support of our HR professionals, like many of you here today. But it is an important challenge to take on, and we need your leadership to deliver on this commitment. And why 5,000? Because according to the most recent available data, 5.3% of federal public service employees identify themselves as having a disability, which is way below the federal public service workforce availability, which is 9.2%. To facilitate the hiring of persons with disability across the public service and to help reach this ambitious goal, the Public Service Commissions maintain several staffing inventories that you can access. I'm sure you're all well aware of the FSWEP, one of the most used, most popular student recruitment program that is managed by the Public Service Commission. Well, underneath the FSWEP, we have the employment opportunity for students with disability. Again, it is part of FSWEP, and it helps hiring managers not only find and connect with persons with students with disability, but also support both the students and the hiring manager supervisor throughout the hiring process and beyond. So we provide mentoring activities, coaching, training, networking opportunities. So that is absolutely one of the a neat program that we manage and we offer. There is another resource that is available to all of you, and it is called Virtual Door to Talent with Disabilities. It is nothing but a repository of students, of graduates actually, of graduates with disability who already participated in the employment opportunity for students with disabilities, so who already have working experience within the public service. They have graduated recently, so they're ready to be hired. Again, that's another good resource for you hiring managers, HR specialists, and we are looking at the virtual door to add additional resources. We have roughly 60 graduates ready to be hired, but we will add additional resources, other persons with disability who have qualified in other processes within the public service. So the number will increase. So don't forget about, and all the links of everything that I'm telling you will be shared with you after today's session. So don't worry. There is also another important program that the Public Service Commission manages, and it's the Federal Internship Program for Persons with Disability. It's a 5-year program that offers internship opportunities to persons with disability who have never worked within a public service, and sometimes people who don't have much work experience. And we provide, again, coaching. There is a framework, there is lots of support that is provided not only to these individuals, but also to the area managers. And then, as Hélène mentioned at the beginning, the Public Service Commission worked with the Human Resources Council to establish government-wide targeted inventories to support departments and agencies in the hiring of persons with disability. There are 2 inventories that were launched in the spring, one for the EC community, one for the CS community, and they are now available to you. So I'm going to turn to my colleague Muriel to give you all the details about these inventories. But just a last piece of information, there is an additional inventory that has been recently launched for the finance management and science field, so the FE3 position. So that has been launched, so the inventory is not ready for you to use it still, but we have the other 2 for EC and CS. So over to you, Muriel, to give us all the details. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Valentina. I know we have a question in the chat. Valentina, if you have a second to answer, do we know how many of the 5,000 have been hired already?
That's an excellent question. I don't know who has asked that question, but I don't have the exact number for you today. But what you need to remember out of today's session is that we're currently looking at the data. Meaning the PSC, the Office of Accessibility at OCRO, because for those who are in HR, you may remember February of this year, there were a series of letters that were sent from the President of the Public Service Commission and jointly with Madame Laroche to all the deputy ministers. And for each organization, we were basically telling the deputy minister, here is your target and here is how many where you need to go. So basically, we're coming up with another series of those letters in February. We're looking at the data now to be able to assess exactly where is each organization, because apart from the overall picture, which we need to look at from a central agency perspective, each one of you in each department needs to know, okay, your target is here, you're almost there, or you need to go a little bit further. So it's coming your way because that is absolutely crucial information for human resources. Excellent question, actually.
Perfect, thank you. I thought I'd squeeze in one question because I know, Valentina, you will be here for the question period. I see more questions coming in, so we'll address them at
but
the
I'm gonna stay here, so I'm gonna be in the background, and no, I find it's very important, so I'm gonna be here today.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, well, now I would like to ask Muriel, how can we access the inventories of persons with disabilities? I don't know if you can do a quick demo for us.
Yes, I would be delighted to. Thank you, Hélène. Thank you, Valentina, for this great entree to our three-course meal that we're going to enjoy today. I just want to add, also, we launched an FI3 poster. Those candidates should be ready probably in the spring. They're currently being assessed by the functional community. And little scoop here, in the spring also, we're planning on launching a science inventory for persons with disabilities. So be on the lookout for that. So how do we access the EC and the CS candidates partially qualified that are right now sitting in the pools and currently being referred? So do you see my screen here, Hélène? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yes, okay, great. So this is the main website where you'll find the Public Service Commission's inventories and pools. If I can do a quick little advertisement for the other inventories, you see here, if you have any needs for administrative services, so ASs or CRs, you can go in here. Communications over here for the IS group for a range of levels. So there are other inventories available to hiring managers, HR. Now, the ones for the CS and the EC persons with disabilities, you'll see they're right here. Here's the one for the CS pool. This is the form that you have, and right beneath it is the form to request candidates from the EC pool. So I'm going to use this one as an example. This is what it looks like when you are requesting candidates. So first of all, I should just say, and I'm sure you all know already, but just it bears reminding, remember to obtain the priority clearance number before you launch any process. Just, you never know, there could be persons with disabilities on a priority list who meet your criteria, and away you go. If not, turn to this form right here. You'll notice it is quite simple to complete. Up here you have the essential qualification. I'll get into that a little bit later. Here are the different fields that you can fill out. Determinate or indeterminate, you can specify the length of the term. You can choose for the EC pool whether you want someone who is more in the data or the policy or either one of streams. Of course, the levels here, you have 1 to 5 that you can choose from. You have all of your job locations, including the virtual location. And a good number of candidates have checked that off as a preference of theirs. Now, down here you have 5 other criteria. These are the optional asset qualifications that candidates answered questions for in their application to optimize the matching. Down here you have the employment equity. So by default, these are all persons who have self-declared having a disability. You can then, on top of that, specify if you want another EE group. as well. Down here, language requirements. This is what candidates have self-identified as, being interested in French, English, or bilingual positions. And finally, what you have here, the named referral, if you know someone who is in this pool that you want to hire, you can put their name here and we will send you only their information. Now, the main message, you have to see these pools like the store Winners. You know, where they say there's new merchandise coming in every day? Well, these pools are being replenished on a continual basis. Just about every month or so, there'll be another group of partially assessed candidates added to the pool. So that is just something to keep in mind. If you make a request and you don't get a whole lot of candidates back, just wait a month or two and resend your request, and you will have fresh candidates coming in. Now, what do you receive once you click submit? It'll take a few days, sometimes even the day of. You'll receive the candidates' CVs and their application. So that's, in other words, the answers to what they put in the screening questions in their online application. You will also receive the integration booklet that comes with each of the candidates. So essentially the notes, the comments of the assessors. As well, you'll also receive an Excel sheet, which is a summary report with the information related to the statement of merit for each of the candidates, their contact information, of course, whether they've self-declared in any other EE group, and other goodies like that. So you get a nice package in your email quite quickly. Now, once you've received the candidates, and all this applies to the CS pool as well, I'm just using the EC form as an example. In fact, I will stop sharing my screen. Once you receive the candidates, it's up to you how you wish to continue to assess them. And of course, you can do that in your own methods. Don't forget, however, to email us the name of the person you've decided to hire, as well as their start date and their end date in the case of a determinate contract. Why? Because we want to keep this pool as up to date as possible. We want to send you people who are keenly interested in working for you. So do keep us updated on what you do with these candidates, and that way we have a nice updated pool that we can choose candidates from for you. Hélène, back to you.
Thank you, Marielle. Very simple process. I assume that this could save a lot of time to managers who are looking for ECs and CSs and who haven't started their staffing process yet. Anne-Marie, could you tell us more about the CS inventory, its composition, and what is being assessed?
Yes, Hélène. So how about I share my screen too, so I can show what's the composition so far. So I'm hoping everybody can see my screen. So far, in terms of the digital careers for persons with disabilities, so for the CS group, which will convert tomorrow to the IT group for most of them, we received almost 300 applications. This is the breakdown in terms of by gender, and if candidates also self-declared being part of another employment equity group. So we have some statistics here for you. To give you an idea, like our pool doesn't really have a group and level that's associated with candidates. So meaning that we've received offers so far from CS1 to CS4s for our candidates. We've assessed the soft skills on our end. So just like Marielle was saying, managers can decide to continue the assessment. On our end, we did an interview and we did reference checks. But it's basically like for teamwork, communication, strategic thinking, and client focus that candidates were assessed. I know we have a good mix of people that are, French, English. We have people all across Canada. So I think it's important for everybody to know that usually we'll find what you're looking for if you contact us in terms of your staffing needs. And again, just like Muriel referred to, since the pool is open until the end of March, we keep on assessing new candidates on a weekly basis. So we keep on adding to our pool. So again, once you send us a request, like same that you've seen for the EC pool, we keep on assessing candidates every week. So we keep on adding to our pool. So let us know what you're looking for, and we might have somebody that's already assessed. And if not, that might be coming soon.
Okay, now regarding the EC inventory, Muriel, can you say a few words on that?
Yes, definitely. So I have a couple of slides to show you as well. This is a slide fest happening. So here you have the composition of the EC pool. Right now there are 69 candidates as of 2 days ago. The initial screening that was done was at the level of the education, so the bachelor's degree in economics, sociology, or statistics, like all the other ECs, or a combination of education and experience. We were looking for both streams: experience in gathering, reviewing, and analyzing data for a variety of topics or issues. And then we also assessed those other softer skills that Anne-Marie mentioned: reasoning, judgment, communication. Then candidates had to meet one or both of these criteria. So for the policy analyst positions, we were expecting them to demonstrate experience in providing strategic advice or recommendation on policy programs or research. For the data analyst positions, we were expecting them to demonstrate experience in applying analytical or statistical concepts, theories, and techniques. We then also assessed 5 other asset criteria, the ones that you saw in the form that I showed just a few minutes ago, for that optimal matching. So when you make your request online, you check off those same boxes, and we'll send you the candidates that have demonstrated those criteria. Here you have a beautiful, colorful wheel made by my colleague. So essentially, this demonstrates for you the availability of candidates by region. There's a lot of very small text on this. The beautiful thing about this wheel is that it shows to you that there are candidates in every province and territory across the country. Now, sure, you have a good number of them that checked off virtual, but that means they're also physically somewhere, obviously. And 11% for the National Capital Region. But really, the fact that we have candidates in every other part of Canada is fantastic. I'm very, very pleased with that I could share this with you. Here you have just 2 other little graphs on their composition of the pool. So their linguistic profile, you see most of them did indicate an interest in English-only positions, but you have a good number there, about a fifth of them that are interested in bilingual or French-only positions. And the other bi-color wheel, really this little sliver there of a third color, the other employment equity groups, you have about half of visible minorities, women, and a small percentage of Indigenous candidates as well. My last little chart to show you here is the distribution according to the levels. So this pool is for EC 1 to 5. And the bars that you see is the total number of candidates for data, for policy, or who indicated both. The orange part underneath, that is the number of candidates in that entire stream whom we considered to be a good fit for EC 1 and 2 levels. So these could be recent graduates who have the education, people who have a little bit of experience as well, or whose experience was perhaps gained through their studies, through a master's program or undergrad where they needed to do this analysis. So you can see here there's, this just gives you an idea of the distribution of the numbers of candidates in each category. Back to you, Hélène.
Thank you, Muriel. This is very helpful information. I'll hand it back to you to see if you can give us a short summary of everything that was discussed so far, what we need to keep in mind.
Yes, so things to keep in mind. So a quick summary here of the points.
Sorry. Here I see a lot of great questions piling up in the chat, but I have a really burning one. Maybe could I? Yeah.
Sir, this is not quite the moment for questions right now. We'll be doing that later.
Yeah, but I really need to know something right away just to make sure I understand everything well.
All right, sir. I suppose we could. I suppose we could allow that. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm just wondering in the land of self-declaration, I was wondering how can we get more information about the disabilities that affect the candidate. For example, should I address the subject in an interview? Should I really talk about it freely with the person? Because if not, how can I get information on adaptation measures and stuff like this? So I'm really wondering this at this point in the presentation, please.
Yes. Okay. Well. All right, sir. Let's answer that question. I'm sure other people are thinking the same thing. Now we do understand we can't ask the person directly. So, what's your disability? What's your handicap? That is not something that we can do. However, all throughout the process, we do ask them, what are the accommodation measures that you require for this stage of the process? And you can ask them that, of course, before the interview or even at the interview. So what accommodation measures do you require for this interview to really be maximized, for you to demonstrate all your competencies? That is something that can be done. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, the Public Service Commission has developed a very, very interesting toolkit for managers, which just magically appeared in the chat. How wonderful. Nothing planned, of course. So you can take a look there. There's a section on assessment, and there are very useful points in there. In fact, my colleague, Erin, is here today, and later on, when is the actual question period, she might be able to delve into that a little deeper. There's also a very interesting tool that some of you may have heard of, which is called the Accessibility Passport. And oh, look at that. The link is in the chat already. Wonderful. This is guidelines on how to approach these kinds of discussions with the person as a candidate, and then once they're hired as well. Very, very interesting and well done ways to have a transparent and honest conversation that takes some of the, malaise out of it. And there's another resource that I can think of, which is the I'm so sorry, what is their acronym? AAACT. I know many of you have heard of them. The adaptation. Here it is, the accessibility, I'm so sorry, accommodations and adaptive computer technology team over at Shared Services. They have a lending library of equipment that you can send, that you can discuss with them for your employees. So a lot of very good resources that are available. But I do admit, and I absolutely recognize that it can be tricky to have those conversations. Now that I think about it, we have another friend here with us called Megan. She works at the Canadian Council for Work Rehabilitation. This is a nonprofit organization that is actually a member of the HRC-PSC working group. And they have produced a fantastic video. Why don't we watch it together? I think you'll find it enjoyable and informative.
What if you could make a full-time living online, getting paid for your advice? You might not know this, but there is a surge of people.
So, Taylor, what did you want to chat about?
I was just thinking about when we get back to in-person. The accessible washrooms are just kind of old, and so...
Hey, what's up? I'm Spear, and I gotta say, careful there, buddy. You don't want to seem different, do you?
I mean, it's actually okay, I guess.
Taylor, if there's something we could be doing better, I'd love to know.
Easy, Tiger. Don't want to say the wrong thing, right? I've got HR on speed dial.
Wait, I should just double check what I'm supposed to be doing here, I just want to dot my I's and cross my T's,
Honestly, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
I should probably talk to HR or send this to head office. I should check our internal policy. Yes, that is what I should do.
Honestly, I don't even know why I asked to talk to you. We're good. Thank you so much for your time, and also goodbye.
Our policy's in here somewhere. I know I could find it.
leave this meeting immediately.
What? No, Taylor, I'm a good person, okay? Just don't you worry, 2 to 3 weeks tops. I will figure out what to do here, you know? I found our PPE policy if you want to know about that.
Goodbye for now. Or for forever? I don't know.
Taylor!
Oh, loved that. So, what's next?
I don't have time for you, Fear. I need to do better for Taylor. I need to deep dive into every resource I have and figure out exactly what to do.
Now I'm scared.
Out.
Okay.
Don't let fear stop you from creating an accommodating and inclusive workplace. CCRW can help. Go to aim@ccrw.org or call 1-800-664-0925 extension 384 for more information.
Thank you, Muriel, for presenting that great video. And thank you to Marc-Antoine for agreeing to do this short role-play skit with Muriel, which illustrates a question many managers have. So in case you haven't seen the message in this chat, this was a simulation, so Marc-Antoine just popped in, but it was all planned. Marc-Antoine Giraud is the Manager of Analysis, Regional Relations and Indigenous Affairs in the Atlantic and Quebec Regional Office of Environment and Climate Change Canada. So now I'll turn it over to you, our participants, who might also have questions. So I encourage you to ask them in the chat space, and I know that we've received already a few questions, so I'll get to that in a second. But while some of you are maybe thinking about your questions, I will introduce you to our other guests who are just joined or have joined to answer questions within their specific field of expertise. I think Muriel has already introduced Megan Kelly, so National Manager, Business Development at Canada Council on Rehabilitation and Work. Also, Erin Thompson, Assistant Director, Inclusive Recruitment, Center of Expertise at the Public Service Commission of Canada, and Geneviève Minot-Martin, HR Advisor, also at the Public Service Commission of Canada. So they are joining our guests who were already here. Okay, so let me check the chat. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting any questions. I think this question might be for Valentina. Will you mandate each department to hire a minimal percentage of staff with disability in CS and ES domain so our department can plan ahead for next fiscal year? Valentina, are you still with us? Or Muriel, would you know the answer to that question? Otherwise, we can make sure that it's answered subsequently in our follow-up email. Okay, so we'll go to the next question. Will there be support for managers who hire from these pools? So Muriel, I'll hand it to you.
Yes, definitely. In fact, I'd like to hand it off to Erin. If Erin could give us a little very quick tour of the toolkit for managers that was posted in the chat.
Certainly. So yes, the hiring toolkit for managers is available online at the link provided. Thank you. So it's a very useful resource for people, and it walks you through the hiring process from your planning exercise right through to appointment and selection and how to accommodate any PWD staff that you may hire. So specifically, some of the assessment tools that are available there do delve into accommodations. We have the tools, both internal and external, because there are, of course, best practices that we can learn from outside of the PSC. We have already mentioned, we link to the Government of Canada Accessibility Passport, which has been mentioned here, and provide information about determining and implementing assessment accommodations and an overview of the accommodation process. One helpful tool that we have is our Assessment Accessibility Ambassadors Network. And those are employees, it's part of the PSC's Personnel Psychology Center, or PPC, and these are ambassadors who are knowledgeable about accommodations and are able to contribute to helping people across the public service in this. So people can apply to this program, usually HR representatives who are working in staffing, and they then become subject matter experts to sort of help really make it a little bit more easily accessible and hands-on to find information about accommodations and how to make the workplace accessible for your persons with disabilities employees. That's a quick overview. If anybody had any specific questions on the toolkit or otherwise, happy to take those.
Thank you, Erin. I have a question here that has 3 thumbs up, so I guess that's a popular one. Will you share your statement of merit criteria? Will you share your statement of merit with the department hiring managers so that they can conduct extra assessment for those qualifications are missing? Muriel, can I hand it over to you, and you can hand it over to one of your colleagues?
Well, I would just direct people to the poster. It's still up and live. That's all I would do. Geneviève, do you have any things to add to that?
Yes. Also, when we refer candidate to managers, we also send the statement merit of criteria and all the details regarding the assessment of the candidate. So that will be included.
Perfect. And I guess a follow-up question to this: are the candidates security cleared?
No, they are not.
Perfect. Let's see. When going for priority clearance, should we add the competencies that we assessed, like the experiences, via your pool? Lilia, would you have the answer to this?
Well, that's a question for your internal HR, as they'll help you with that, with the priority clearance. I mean, we have a team at the PSC that does just that. So I myself don't have the exact answer for that.
Okay. Now the question, are we appointing from your pool, or do we do a non-advertised with the rationale of using your pool?
So that's really up to you. Again, back to your own department and to your HR, your corporate HR. They'll have the sort of the guidelines for going with the type of appointment, type of nomination. So that is up to you, in your hands.
Perfect, thank you. Next question, because it's a pool of qualified candidates with a disability, and you mentioned many of them are unilingual, was there an intent to consider non-imperative appointment to increase accessibility?
So I've been talking a lot. Does anyone want to answer that question of my colleagues?
Well, once again, I would say, as Muriel, you already said, this is up to you. Up to their, I would recommend speaking with your internal HR advisor. They will be in the best position to help you decide.
Thank you. Do you have any pool for HRPE level 5? I don't know if someone would have the answer to this.
We do not.
If you check other employment equity options, I guess if you check that, select that option in the request form, does the manager receive a more condensed list? So is it better to leave it more broad to get bigger list for PWD?
Maybe I can answer this one again, Muriel. So yeah, if you choose to select one or more of the 3 EE groups that are on the form, you'll receive maybe fewer and fewer candidates, as all of the candidates will have to have selected the same option. So if you choose 2 other options, the candidate will have to be, for example, a person with a disability who is Indigenous and who is also a woman, for example. So the number of candidates that we might have will be a little bit lower. And it is the same with the experience, the 5 experience that Muriel told you about a little bit earlier. If you choose the 5 of them, so the candidate will have to have been screened in for the 5 experience.
Perfect. I know that somebody has their hand up. I'll find that person and allow their mics on, but in the meantime, maybe I can ask, were SLE done?
No, they weren't.
We only asked the question, are you interested in working in an English-only position, French-only, or bilingual? But as Muriel said, we haven't done any SLE.
Okay. Let me find the person. Okay, Martin. I disabled your mic, so you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So I was just wondering, we were curious. I'm the one who asked the question about, are we appointing from your pool or we're doing non-ad? And then Muriel, you mentioned that it was up to us. My question is more like, if we are assessing the other competencies on our end, can we still appoint from your pool, because the assessment is pretty much going to be like it's going to diverge from all the other appointments? So I was just wondering, like, is that the way forward? Like, okay, I want to appoint from your pool, but I'm going to assess the competencies that are missing on my end. I'm in HR. I'm the team lead for the staffing, so that's why I'm asking the question, because I'm honestly planning on using this opportunity, because we have a lot of turnovers within the RCMP. So I'm just curious, so I have all the questions when I'm going to be launching this idea within my department.
Yes, thank you. Would any of my colleagues like to answer this question?
I can answer. Hi, Martin. We've been dealing with different departments, and I know when I talk about our pools, we have departments that are saying, you know, if I add some requirements, that's going to become a non-advertised. We have other departments that are saying I can add as many as I want, because the other ones are, you know, most of the assets, they could be an asset now, they're becoming an essential for me, or I'm adding something that's new. I've seen both. So because we've seen both, that's why we're kind of always saying, go back to your corporate HR, go back to corporate staffing, because I've seen both ends of the spectrum in terms of what departments are comfortable doing.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to confirm when Geneviève said when we're going to get the referral of all the candidates, it's going to tell us exactly what competencies has been assessed for each candidate from the poster, because I'm looking on the poster and I'm trying to understand what competencies from the poster were assessed and what will need to be assessed. So I understand all the experiences are done, and then you talked about soft skills. So I'm just wondering.
So they have been screened in for the data stream or the policy stream. Based on their answer to the screening questions. Then they have been screened in or out for each of the 5 experiences. So those are only for matching purposes. So some of the candidates may not have any of those experiences, but are still in the pool for 1 or 2 of the streams. And then for the assessment, they did undergo a written exam that assessed reasoning, judgment, and communication. And every other, as it is a partially assessed pool, you are free to further assess the candidates based on the position you want to fill up.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And like, out of curiosity, does your team provide some assessment material for the rest of the competencies? Like you listed, like may applied, and then you listed, I think, like 4 or 5. Do you guys have assessment material we could provide our managers if they want to use the pool, or no?
No, we don't provide assessment tools.
Okay.
Well, you could get in touch with the PPC that could help you and provide maybe some tools. But with the referrals, we don't send any other tools.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Great initiative.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Martin, for your question, and thank you for the answers. Unfortunately, this is all the time that we have for today. The time is just flying by. If your question was not answered, and I believe that's the case, because I saw some extra questions in the chat, please send them to the mailbox that is appearing in the chat right away. So you can use that mailbox to send your question. I'd like to thank all the participants who joined today. Also, thanks to all our guests for taking the time to talk to us about how to hire ECs and CSs with disabilities. So Muriel Swift, Marc-Antoine Giroux, Valentina Fumagalli, Anne-Marie Couriac, Megan Kelly, Erin Thompson, Geneviève Minot-Martineau. And finally, thanks to my NMC colleagues for coordinating this event. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to join the NMC tomorrow for an event organized by my colleague from the Quebec region entitled, "Are You Properly Equipped to Manage Your Career?" So join this event to learn more about Anthony Sheehan's career journey and the lessons he learned along the way, which may help you better manage your own career. Note that the NMC is also looking for a comms advisor at the IS4 or IS5 level. So if you'd like to join our team, please apply. More information on our GC Connects page. So stay connected to the NMC for information on other events. So have a nice day, everyone, and see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you.